You're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question.
All right, Andy, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I think I'm getting sick, but I'm hanging in there, so I'm ready to go. How
All
you
right.
doing, buddy?
All right. I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good.
Nice.
We've got some good news.
Okay, what's the good news?
Trump has now stopped 9 wars.
What's the ninth? What did he stop now?
The war on milk is over, Andy.
Oh,
There's
Jesus
no
Christ.
more war on milk.
So that's the stupidest thing. Real quick, they're doing this whole campaign about whole milk. Like, basically, it's kind of like the war on Christmas, where they're like, the Democrats tried to end Merry Christmas, but
Yeah.
now you can say it again. And it's like, there's a video every year of Obama saying Merry Christmas and Biden saying Merry, like nobody tried to, and there's reporting, and I don't know how true this is, but there's reporting that they had set up a whole, they had money spent on an ad campaign, and it was going to be for raw milk, not whole milk, raw milk. And they had
Oh,
already spent the money and all this. And then the lawyers came in and were like, dude, you can't do this. Like, if people get sick drinking raw milk, they'll be able to sue the government. So they had already, the money was already allocated, so they had to pivot at the last minute, and they were like, let's just do whole milk. So if you watch the ads, they're making it sound like big corporations and the medical communities trying to like keep whole milk away from, you can go to any grocery store right now and buy whole milk. Like, whole milk is not illegal. It's not hard. I don't get it.
I actually pulled the clip from one of the ads.
Okay, I can't
Go
wait.
to Benny.
Good stuff. Three cheers for whole milk. Good stuff.
I I thought it was going to be Benny Johnson. That was Ben Carson. I haven't seen him in a while. There's another one with Riley Gaines, the swimmer that finished fifth place and is complaining about it.
Oh,
There's a whole bunch of them. Again, I
nice.
I don't know if we'll ever know for sure, but the whole deal about it was supposed to be raw milk, like that's very believable to me. Is that they were
Oh
going
yeah.
to do this whole thing on raw milk, and then lawyers stepped in and warned them, and now here we have
Oh yeah.
this. So yeah,
Very, very believable. Because I mean, that's one of the things RFK was pushing was raw milk, wasn't
yeah,
he?
yeah.
And we were, but we, I think we talked about it a while back, and it was like, I
We
mean,
have.
it's fine if you want to drink raw milk, like you probably should be able to, but there should be warning labels and
So
like,
I've only come in contact with raw milk one time. I don't know anything about raw milk, so I'm not saying it's good or bad.
I'm gonna
But
guess somebody in your family gave
yes,
you raw milk.
so I don't want to say who, but somebody in my family was feeding my child along with their children, and I was cereal or something, and I happened to notice that the gallon of milk sitting on the counter said real big, not for human consumption, and I was like, time out. I was like, what's going on with this gallon of milk here? And then the answer was basically like, well, they have to put that on there for legal reasons, and I was like, well, if they have to put it on there, can you please elaborate? Like, what exactly? And I believe what I was told was, well, the pasteurization process kills all the good stuff and whatever. I've seen a lot of
And all
videos.
the bad stuff.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of people giving numbers saying like, look, like pasteurization kills 3% of this thing, but it saves 97. I don't know if any of it's true. I don't even want to pretend to be an expert on this. The fact that legally they have to put on the carton not for human consumption makes me think that there's probably a reason that anyhow. I don't know. I don't even want to pretend I'm not getting into raw milk. I don't I got too many other things to worry about.
Yeah. Did you watch that? I mean, why would they even have to put together a whole, like, I don't know what you would call it, TV program about this milk, this giant
So
milk conglomerate?
I have a theory on it. My theory
Okay.
is m- a lot of different parts of MAGA feel like they got gypped. Like on and certain, I want to say this: there's big parts of MAGA that are loving every second of what's going on, but there's MAGA was a whole bunch of different groups coming together.
Hmm.
MAHA, it to me, simply my opinion. They're doing a lot of stuff where the EPA is rolling back protections on all kinds of chemicals and this and that. And
I'm going to talk
but
about it
okay, cool. But I think that oh, you froze
later.
on
I
me.
got a couple things.
Okay. I think that in order to distract from that, they're doing all this other like raw milk is legal again and like trying to draw everybody's attention over to there so that Maha can be like, yes, they did raw milk while not noticing all the chemicals that they're now allowing. So that's what I think is going on. Who knows? So also on
Did you
Maha,
watch the program?
I did not. I saw the Riley Gaines commercial for raw milk and like a little behind the scenes stuff on it. So I don't, like I
Okay.
said,
Raw milk, not raw milk, whole milk, right?
well, yeah, they were doing it for whole milk now. So yeah, but with all the stuff going on,
Okay.
I choose to not focus on the raw milk. Like I feel like there's so many other things going on. Raw milk is a distraction. Speaking of distractions, real quick, the last time the DOJ released any Epstein files was December 23rd. That's over 3 weeks ago. Um,
But that was the
interest-
mandated court date, right?
so it was a law, and Trump signed the law. But they released. They had to do it by like December 9th or something like that. It was like December 16th, or it was somewhere before Christmas. And they released a little bit, and they said, well, we're redacting, so we're going to release. And they did like 2 or 3 batches of releases, and then they just stopped December 23rd. And now somebody's trying to sue the Department of Justice and the administration because they did not follow the law. And the DOJ is arguing in court that Congress never intended to make the Epstein Transparency Act enforceable because it did not include a punishment. So they said, well, they clearly they didn't intend for this to be. Yeah, that makes no sense.
Oh.
The DOJ stated in court there was a public court filing. They stated that no court is permitted to order the files to be released because there is no punishment in the act. They said if Congress really meant for this to be enforceable, they would have put a penalty if they don't do it. And since they didn't do that, so that's what the DOJ is arguing right now. So they're just stopping. They're not going to release anything else till this gets resolved. And that'll go all the way to the Supreme Court. Yeah.
This administration is overkill. This is insane.
It's definitely weird. It's interesting, is what I'll say. And then we're going to talk a lot of Greenland tonight, I got to say, but I got to get a couple things out real quick. Did you hear about the AI mistake that DHS made when it came to hiring ICE officers? Have you heard anything about this?
No.
So, this makes sense. I will say, I agree with DHS on this. If somebody was applying to be an ICE officer and they had previously been a law enforcement officer, then they were going to give them an expedited training. Probably, from what I read, it was like skipping the intro stuff that all cops would already know. And now let's just fast forward to the ICE actual policies, okay? So that makes sense. I have no problem with that. If someone was formerly an officer, they can skip the beginning couple weeks of training or whatever.
Sure.
But in order to do that, they just did an AI search on all the resumes for the word officer. And if officer showed up anywhere on somebody's resume, then they got to bypass the initial training. Now, they've gone back and reviewed this, and there were people that like just put like, I have always wanted to become an ICE officer. If they put that on their application, the word officer is on there, and now they got pushed through to like the second phase of training.
That's just lazy.
That's incredibly lazy. And so apparently they did figure it out. Like ICE figured it out and is now scrambling to go back and make sure that anyone who wasn't really an officer but got to bypass that training has to go back now and I guess retrain. But that's just it's just lazy. Lazy is the best word for it. So
I saw something where they're having issues like recruiting and getting people like there's like a real I don't know if people are quitting, but like ICE officers are a little on edge right now.
So the
And I
one
don't
thing
blame them at all.
I haven't seen that they're having a recruiting problem, but I have seen that the people that have been hired are now upset because you know how any new ICE officer gets like a $50,000 signing bonus?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently they have to stay on the job for 5 years to get that bonus. So they get it in 5 years. And in 5 years, Trump's not going to be president anymore. So
Oh, yeah.
they're all starting to look around and go, hold on, wait, are we ever going to get this money? And there's a chance they might not. So now there's some I'd say there's some disgruntled ICE officers that are starting to realize they might not ever get that.
Was that in like the contract that they
Yeah.
signed?
Yeah, they have
Oh.
to be an ICE officer for 5 years. And in 4 years, if the new president comes in, and let's say it's a Democrat and they drastically scale back the ICE budget, a lot of them are going to get laid off. And if you get laid off, then you did not fulfill your 5 years as an ICE agent, so you don't get the bonus. And that's what they're starting to realize.
Yeah, I mean, if the Democrat was smart, they would just come in and like get rid of ICE and create a new organization.
Yeah. Oh, and that's so right now people are starting to do the whole like abolish ICE thing. And
Yeah.
like I want Democrats to be very careful with their rhetoric right now. Because like the people that say abolish ICE, then you hear them talk further and they'll go, yeah, I think that ICE needs to be totally reimagined and this and that. And they'll kind of like what is it? Defund the police. Like people would say defund the police, but then they'd say, well, we need to reimagine how we do police work. And it's like, if you explain it, it sounds good. But if you just say defund the police, that sounds bad. And they're doing the same thing with ICE right now. So I just want to warn all Democrats: be very clear with what you're wanting here.
Yeah, and Democrats have always had a problem with
Yeah.
messaging.
And the idea of having a task force that's in charge of getting the violent, criminal, illegal aliens out of our country, like, I don't think that's a bad idea. It's just that what current ICE is doing is just going up to random people on the street asking for their ID, and you can't do that. That's
Not only going up to random people, but going door to door.
the door-to-door thing, and just asking random people on the streets for their ID is a straight-up violation of the Constitution. It's the Fourth Amendment, and the fact that like half the country is totally fine with that is very weird to me.
You think it's half the country?
I think it's like 35%.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which on the polling, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about this in a second, but it's like 46 to 48% oppose what ICE is doing, and only like 25 to 30% are for it. And then there's like 30% that don't have an opinion, which that always cracks me up because I'm like, who doesn't have an opinion? Like,
Yeah.
people that don't pay attention. Like, I know a lot of people that have no opinion of what's going on.
I don't know. What would I put? I mean, if some random person came up to me on the street and started and asked me, "Can you fill out this survey?" More than likely, I would say no. But if I decided I was going to fill out a survey, I would be like, I don't know. I would probably be in the middle on everything. I probably wouldn't be very truthful.
From what I understand, all these surveys are done by telephone. So first of all, who answers an unknown number? Not a lot. Like, it's one of those where the polling, it's like, who are these people being polled? It's like the people that are too dumb to get out of jury duty. Like,
Yeah.
who's answering the phone? It's an unknown number, and then being like, oh yeah, I'd love to answer a bunch of questions. Like, a lot of people aren't doing that.
I got all the time in the world.
Yeah, so it's old people, but also old people are who show up to vote. So maybe it is good. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
While we're on the topic of Minnesota, real quick, I saw a funny video. Did you see the reporter that was getting? This was in one of Carolyn Levitt's press conferences, and a reporter asked about the shooting of Renee Good, and Carolyn Levitt was like, "Well, what do you think?" And he goes, "Well, you're asking for my opinion," and she said, "Yes." And then he gave his opinion. Did you see this at all?
No.
I have it for you. Check this out real quick.
Thanks, Caroline. Earlier, you were just defending ICE agents generally, and earlier on, Secretary Noem spoke to the media, and she said, among other things, that they are doing everything correctly. 32 people died in ICE custody last year. 170 US citizens were detained by ICE, and Renee Good was shot in the head and killed by an ICE agent. How does that equate to them doing everything correctly?
Why was Renee Good unfortunately and tragically killed?
Are you asking me my
Yeah.
opinion? Because an ICE agent acted recklessly and killed her unjustifiably.
Oh, okay. So you're a biased reporter with a left-wing opinion.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, because you're a left-wing hack. You're not a reporter. You're posing in this room as a journalist, and it's so clear by the premise of your question. And you and the people in the media who have such biases but fake like you're a journalist, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat.
I like the
Oh,
balls
God.
on that guy. That guy's got great balls. You're asking for my opinion? Well, it's because an ICE agent acted recklessly, and like he goes on, good. Which there was also, and I didn't pull this one, but there was a British reporter was interviewing Mike Johnson, I think today or yesterday, and he was like, "Well, you've all seen the tape. She tried to turn her vehicle into a missile and hit him." And she basically said, she's like, "We have seen the tape. We know you're lying." And she just like went on, like kind of just said it, and he you could see in his face, he was like, "Did she just say I was lying?" But then she just moved on, and he never really came back from it.
Good.
Anyhow, yeah. So
Good. I like seeing the media
yeah.
fight back.
Okay, we're having some technical problems here. One of us has a bad connection.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was saying that I'm glad the media's fighting back against the politicians and this administration in general. It's kind of relieving to see.
I don't want the media to just fight the government for no reason, but if the government's clearly lying, whether it be Democrat or Republican, fight back. Like, you're not fight back, but challenge them on it. That's the best way to say it. I don't want to fight. And so I'm going back in time, but like with Obama, there were several times where like all the media, left-wing and right-wing media, was pushing back on Obama for drone strikes. Or at one point, Obama pulled the press credentials. I can't say that of a Fox reporter, and like CNN and MSNBC said they were going to boycott the press briefings until they let Fox back in the room, and they did let Fox back in the room, and like that's awesome. That same thing didn't happen when Trump was banning the AP and all that this time. But anyhow,
Why did Obama ban Fox?
I can't remember the reason. It had something to do with some reporting that Fox was doing about, I think, the drone strikes, and the White House didn't like it, so they banned them from the press briefings. And all the media stood up together and said, "Hey, you can't do that. This is America. Like, let them back in," and they did. So
Yeah.
it's nice when the media bands together for the truth. It's fantastic. But
Right. But
anyhow,
nowadays there's so many untruthful journalists out there.
oh, there's a lot of them. There's one coming up here in a little bit. You have a video for us tonight that I can't wait to talk to you about. But back to Minnesota real quick. So we have 3 people being investigated for the Renee Good shooting right now. Renee Good's wife is being investigated for her ties to domestic terrorism. Governor Walz and Mayor Fry are being investigated for inciting domestic terrorism or something along those lines. The officer is not being investigated. Normally, if there's the way that I understand it, I've been talking to a cop buddy of mine in Tulsa. Anytime there's an officer involved shooting at all, even if right off the bat it looks like it was totally justified, they still follow certain steps to basically to be able to make a report on it. You would call it an investigation, but just to clear the officer, just to show that, hey, we went back, we checked it out, it was a justified shooting, blah blah blah. Yep. It appears they're not doing that at all with this. I'm going to let Todd Blanche explain it. Remember, real quick, Todd Blanche was Donald Trump's personal defense lawyer, and now he's the number 2 at the DOJ. He's the assistant attorney general. Here he is on Fox News.
Well, the governor's response referenced a number of things, going after Mark Kelly, he says, Alyssa Slotkin, Jerome Powell. But he also mentioned what Matt Finn mentioned in his reporting there. He says the only person not being investigated for the shooting of Renee Good is the federal agent who shot her. So is the FBI conducting an investigation into that agent, into the shooting? What can you tell us about that? Will it be made public?
Look, what happened on that day has been reviewed by millions and millions of Americans because it was recorded on phones when it happened. Okay, the Department of Justice, our civil rights unit, we don't just go out and investigate every time an officer is forced to defend himself against somebody or putting his life in danger. We never do. That has nothing to do with what happened in Minneapolis. There are over 1,000 shootings every year where law enforcement are put in danger by individuals, and they have to protect themselves, and they have a lawful right to do so. The Department of Justice doesn't just stand up and investigate because some congressman thinks we should, because some governor thinks that we should. We investigate when it's appropriate to investigate, and that is not the case here. It wasn't the case when it happened, and it's not the case today. If circumstances change, and there's something that we do need to investigate around that shooting or any other shooting, we will. But we are not going to bow to pressure from the media, bow to pressure from politicians, and do something that we never do, not under this administration, not under the last administration. And so, no, we are not investigating, and if there comes a time when we need to, we will, but it's not now.
Is there some...
Okay, several things there. First of all, his first point was, this has already been reviewed by millions of Americans, so we don't need to do it. It has been. A lot of people have seen it, and of the people that have seen it, most of them think that this officer acted in the wrong. So that first point right there makes no sense to me. And then I think what it comes down to is they initially said Trump and Kristi Noem came out right away and said that the officer acted right and it was Renee Good's fault, and now they're just in a position where they're not going to back down from that. Like they've dug their heels in, and no matter what happens, they're going to stick to that. They can never admit fault or say they were wrong.
Is there any way? I mean, I guess Renee Good's wife or family could possibly
they could sue him in civil court, which is like OJ got off on the murders of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman or whatever, like in the criminal court, but then he got sued in civil court and was held civilly liable for their deaths and had to pay millions of dollars. Like that's the only thing that could possibly happen to this guy.
Okay, so
yeah, it's crap. So
it's total crap. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. I'm gonna look up and see what's that guy's name. The cop.
What was his name? Ross. Jonathan Ross, maybe something like that.
Jonathan Ross.
You looking up his Kickstarter or his
Yeah.
GoFundMe or whatever?
Yeah, that's what I was going to look up.
He's probably got $1 million by now.
Probably. Oh man, this is crazy, man. I mean, they're just going to stick to that point that they made up. Yeah, Jonathan Ross. That they made up on the spot probably without even seeing the video.
Yeah.
Did you see that Jonathan Ross went to the hospital for internal bleeding?
So that's an hysterical report because CBS, Bari Weiss's operation, is the only outlet that reported that. And they apparently, there's an article written on this, but when she basically told them to report on this, all the journalists were like, no, like, do you have any evidence? Like, normally we would require a medical report or something to go with this, and you're not giving us anything, and you just want us to report this. And she demanded they report it, and apparently there was a big deal about it. But yeah, every other news organization got that same leak from the White House, and they said, okay, show us any evidence and we'll report this. And there is no evidence. Also, internal bleeding means a bruise. And the New York Times did a new frame by frame, and it makes it very clear that he never got struck by the car. He leaned over the hood. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that one. They zoomed in from all these different angles, and his body never got hit by the car. When the car went by him, he leaned onto the hood and shot. Also, turns out she didn't get shot in the face at all. She got shot twice in the chest and once in the left arm. There were no headshots.
Oh.
So that's new information we're getting.
Wow. His GoFundMe is at 784,452 out of 850,000. So there's a chance they don't make it because that's about where he was last time.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm sure somebody like Megyn Kelly or Benny Johnson will step in and blast it on their channels, and he'll get there. The people that keep giving money to Trump and Trump people is astonishing to me because it's like whatever. Yeah. They
put your money away.
It happens. Last things on Minnesota. Tim Walz has the National Guard on standby, but I don't believe he's deployed them yet from the last I've seen. I think he's doing that to try to prevent Trump from doing the Insurrection Act. If Trump does the Insurrection Act, which it seems like he's poised to do, he can send in active duty military, like not the National Guard. And this is really interesting. So I've seen a lot of people that seem to know what they're talking about. And who knows, maybe I'm watching loonies talking. But this is I think this is from the Wall Street Journal. It said hundreds of active duty soldiers on standby, two defense officials say. Some 1,500 active duty Army paratroopers have been put on alert for potential deployment to Minnesota, according to two defense officials. This is important. The soldiers are from the 11th Airborne Division, based at Joint Base Elmendorf Richardson, one of America's premier infantry formations and frontline force in the U.S. military presence in the Pacific, positioned to help deter China. The division is also the military's leading formation for Arctic warfare. So people that know what they're talking about here say that, like, if you were going to send troops into Minnesota, this is not the group of troops you would send. They're trained in Arctic warfare. Mm-hmm. It's called like the Rocky Mountain something Airborne. They're based out of Colorado.
Airborne Division.
Yeah, those would be the ones that are the obvious choice. They would go into Minnesota. There was one other one from somewhere in mainland U.S. that would be the other obvious choice. This one's not. There are people speculating, and this is going to lead into Greenland here, but there's people speculating that he has this division that is the military's leading formation for Arctic warfare. He has them on standby with a cover of Minnesota, but really preparing for some kind of Greenland thing. I hope that that's not true, and I'm just watching loonies on Twitter talk about this stuff, but it's accounts that I follow and have been right about a lot of stuff, and that's what they're speculating here, because it just makes no sense to use our premier Arctic warfare fucking airborne battalion for Minnesota. That doesn't make sense.
I mean, it is cold in Minnesota this time of year, so...
Maybe. I got to think the Rocky Mountain group or whatever would also be ready for cold.
Some of the EU countries are sending troops to Greenland right now, getting ready for us to invade.
Let's go through the timeline on that real quick. Okay. I'm gonna do Greenland, and then you can do whatever you got. But I got to go through this because this, of all the things going on right now, this is the most maddening thing in the news for me right now. I'm very upset about all this. So. Trump's been talking about we need to acquire Greenland. He started off back in like the spring talking about it, and then it kind of went away for a little while. And then when the Epstein files started coming out and like he needed a distraction, he started talking Greenland again. And a lot of people were like, this is just a distraction. he's acting like it's not just a distraction, for the record. Because of all this, on Wednesday, I don't know, they were like the premiers of Denmark and Greenland, or they don't have presidents, so I don't know what they are. But the leaders of Denmark and Greenland came to the White House to meet with Marco Rubio and JD Vance. Okay, the meeting only lasted about an hour and a half, which apparently is very short for these kind of meetings. And then they left, and they gave a press
I
conference.
saw him running out to his car.
Yeah, they left, and everybody was initially worried. They were like, it only lasted an hour and a half. That's not good. And then they gave a press conference not long after they left, and they said, well, we didn't come to an agreement, but we did agree to continue talking about it. So that's about the only win we have, is we're going to open a dialogue about all this. They also said that JD Vance and Marco Rubio's main contention was that nobody's defending Greenland. Like, this China and Russia actively are trying to get it, which there's no evidence of that whatsoever. But Denmark is not capable of defending Greenland. That's why America needs to have it. That was the whole argument there. So later that day, let me get what countries this was real quick, because I feel like that's important. Later that day, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom all started sending troops to Greenland, because the U.S.'s whole problem is that there's no troops there to defend it. So, okay, but we'll take you up on that offer. We will send troops there to defend it. Deal. Trump got pissed about this, apparently. Trump's tweet this time. Trump's tweet's fucking crazy, okay? Have you seen this tweet?
I don't think so.
Okay. We have subsidized Denmark and all the all the countries of the European Union and others for many years by not charging them tariffs or any other forms of remuneration. I don't know that word. Now, after centuries, it is time for Denmark to give back. World peace is at stake. China and Russia want Greenland, and there is not a thing Denmark can do about it. They currently have 2 dog sleds as protection and 1 added recently. Only the United States of America, under President Donald J. Trump, in all caps, can play this game, and very successfully at that. Nobody will touch this sacred piece of land, especially since the national security of the United States and the world at large is at stake. On top of everything, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, and the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland have journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown. I want to pause right there. They've journeyed to Greenland for purposes. No, they made it very clear. The U.S. is upset because nobody's protecting Greenland, and we're going to send our troops there to protect them. We're all NATO countries. This isn't a threat to America. That's why. So, for purposes unknown is him just hoping his supporters are stupid. I don't know what else it could be.
So you just made a good point. Greenland is part of NATO.
Yes.
That means they are already protected under the United States
And-
law, or under
and we
NATO
have
law.
We have a treaty with Denmark that allows us to have as many military bases as we want in Greenland. At one point, we had 17. We closed down 16 of them, and now the only one we have is our Space Force base in Pawtucket, or whatever it's called. So, anyhow, let me finish this tweet out real quick. So he says, have journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown. This is a very dangerous situation for the safety, security, and survival of our planet. These countries who are playing this very dangerous game have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable or sustainable. They have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable. What? They're our allies, and they're doing exactly what we had told them we wanted. We wanted protection for Greenland. They are stepping up to the plate and doing it. What is he talking about?
He wants Greenland.
He's mad that they're doing this because it's not really. He didn't really want them to step up and protect it.
But hold on. This is crazy. It's crazy that our allies in NATO are going to Greenland to protect Greenland from us.
Yeah. It's the most wildest thing that's happened so far this term. And there's been a lot of wild stuff.
Do you think he's gonna actually try and take it by force?
I think he's not. I think he's not now because they've put troops there. I think if they hadn't put troops there, eventually we would have just rolled up on Greenland and said, this is ours. But now we would have to go through NATO forces. And that's, so I think he's mad because they just blocked him from doing what he really wanted to do. But anyhow, the tweet keeps going. So they have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable or sustainable. Therefore, it is imperative that in order to protect global peace and security, strong measures be taken so that this potentially perilous situation end quickly and without question. Starting on February 1st, 2026, all of the above mentioned countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, United Kingdom, Netherlands, and Finland, will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States of America. On June 1st, the tariff will be increased to 25%. This tariff will be due and payable until such times as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. The United States has been trying to do this transaction for over 150 years. Many presidents have tried, and for good reason, but Denmark has always refused. Now, because of the Golden Dome and modern day weapon systems, both offensive and defensive, the need to acquire is especially important. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being spent on the security programs having to do with the dome, including the possible protection of Canada. This is very brilliant and highly complex system can only work at its maximum potential and efficiency because of angles, meets, and bounds, if this land is included in it. The United States of America is immediately open to negotiation with Denmark and or any of these countries that have put so much at risk, despite all we have done for them, including maximum protection over so many decades. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So he is, I don't even know how to say it right. He's threatening to punish them until they agree to sell Denmark to us. Also,
but he's actually punishing us because we're the one that actually pays the tariffs.
Yeah, it'll hurt them too because we'll buy less of their goods. Okay. But is that a hostile takeover? Like this is ridiculous. They don't want to sell it. So now we're going to punish them for supporting Denmark and not wanting to sell it. Also, if he really wants to buy it, make an offer. He hasn't thrown a number out at all yet. I think the whole deal about him wanting to buy it is a ruse. Like I think he wants to take it. Remember with Gaza, they were like, "Well, how will you take control of Gaza? Are you going to buy it?" And he's like, "No, it'll just be ours." Like I think that's how he looks at Greenland. I think up until maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, but until they put all their troops there, I think eventually in the next short little term, we were just going to roll up on Greenland and be like, "This is ours now." And I think that was the plan. And I think by them, I think Denmark was very afraid that was what was going to happen. Yep. And apparently all the EU officials have been meeting. They met all weekend long. They had meetings on a Sunday, which they apparently never do, to talk about the threat of America. Also, we're in this thing called the Five Eyes intelligence group or whatever. And it's us, Canada, the United Kingdom, France, and Australia. I think I got that right. But we all share intelligence with each other. And now they're saying, hey, we probably shouldn't be sharing intelligence with America anymore. And I don't know who that hurts more, us or them, but they're very afraid that, so it's going to hurt both sides if that happens. This is a messed up situation.
Ever going to get back to at least where we were before Trump?
No. I think we can recover a little bit, but now the rest of the world has to understand that no matter how good a deal we strike with them, every 4 years a new leader could come in and change it, and that's something they always have to be aware of. Like they're always only 4 years away from us going back on everything we previously agreed to. So I wouldn't, if I was the rest of the world, I wouldn't trust America at all right now because we're bipolar every 4 years, and like the pendulum keeps swinging further and further each way. So,
Biden didn't swing that far.
No, he really did. Biden really did a lot of very moderate stuff, but the right was able to paint it as like he was so far left. He was being controlled by the far left, and like, what did he do that was so far left? The most far left thing you could say he did was the student loan forgiveness. Like that was socialism.
But he didn't.
I don't know if you saw. No, so it went through for a while. I don't know if you saw this week, the Trump administration announced they're putting a pause on the student loans. So they're doing the same thing Biden did. They're not enforcing student loans anymore. And that was supposedly socialism. But now that Trump's doing it, it's not anymore.
And they made a bunch of stuff up, like they were allowing kids to poop in litter boxes in the classroom or something.
Yeah, that was totally.
Remember that? Yeah. Like it was just tampons in the bathroom. Like they just make shit up.
Yeah. I'll say this also real quick. Macron from France said yesterday that France will be sending further land, air, and sea assets to Greenland. So we're in a weird place right now. We're all allies, but I don't know if Trump sees it that way. Like the way he sees it, like non-allies are building troops on Greenland, something that's rightfully ours in his mind. And like I keep going back to like why? Like his what's the guy's name? Walls, the ambassador to the UN, was on Fox the other day, and they asked him point blank. They were like, Greenland said you can have all the military bases you want there. What's the problem? And he said, well, you know that when you own something, you treat it differently than when you buy it or when you rent it or whatever it was. And it's like, I don't get it. And the only thing that it comes down to for me is Trump wants some kind of a legacy thing. Like he wants to be remembered in the history books. And in his mind, like if he could grow the map, if he could make America bigger, that'll be his legacy moment that he'll always be remembered for. And I think that's what this comes down to is in one way or another, he wants some kind of a legacy defining thing that he did.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, he really wants to put his name on something, and Greenland is a big thing to put your name on. He likes putting his name on big things.
Which he's putting his name on a lot of things. We have the ballroom, the Arc de Trump is what they're calling it. Well, I feel like there's a lot more. The Kennedy Center. I think we've lost track on all the things that he's rebranding in his own.
There's
own
two
name.
things that Trump's good at:
Marketing.
branding, and what was I going to say? Oh, ripping people off.
Yeah. So, and that there's another fun element to the Greenland thing is if we were going to purchase Greenland, let's say $1 trillion. I don't know what the value of Greenland is, but there's no situation where we would pay that upfront, like in cash. Like there would be a payment plan. That's how these kind of things generally work.
They're not even interested in selling.
They're not
interested.
But let's just say they were. Like we would agree to pay them, like 500 billion up front and then X amount per year over the next however many years. Like that's how these normally go. Like has anybody been paying attention to how Trump treats his deals? Like his whole thing was like, yeah, I just refused to pay. Like if I were Greenland or Denmark, even if it comes down to like they might sell, like I would only do it for 100% cash down up front. Like there's no payment plan I'm signing with the Trump administration.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how like Trump doesn't really recognize NATO as our allies.
It doesn't seem like he does anymore. I mean, anybody that says that he's fully behind NATO, I don't see it.
Well, him and Epstein were friends for how many decades? And the thing that was reported on was that what broke up their friendship was that Trump outbid Epstein on a house that he wanted.
So Trump and Epstein were friends for about 15 years, it looks like. There's a well-documented 15-year period where they were buddy-buddy. So that's what we know.
Okay. And so a 15-year friendship ended over a house that Trump outbid him on.
And apparently Epstein found it first and went to Trump and was like, hey, check this out. What do you think? How much should I bid? And then Trump went behind his back and told him how much to bid. And then Trump went in and bid slightly more without telling Epstein he was going to do that. And that was apparently the beginning of the falling out. So
yeah. I mean, he doesn't have friends. Like he only has friends when they benefit him. Well, he's just a complete narcissist.
I wish I could remember who it was. Somebody on a podcast. We're going to Epstein now, but somebody on a podcast was saying like Trump's taken so much heat from part of the MAGA base for not releasing the Epstein files. Like, does Trump ever do anything that will hurt him for somebody else? Like, is he the kind of guy that he's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to protect my friend. It's going to hurt me a lot politically, but I'm going to do it for you. That doesn't sound like him at all, right? No, he'll throw anybody under the bus. He could be as loyal as you want to him, like Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana. We can talk about in a minute. He got the shaft this weekend from Trump. But it doesn't make sense to me that Trump's just protecting his friends, unless he's getting something out of it. Like either he's protecting himself or he's getting money to protect somebody. Like
that's where I'm thinking. I think he is protecting himself because, I mean, the more stuff that comes out, it just links Trump to him and child predation, right? There was an article recently that was talking about how Mar-a-Lago is directly linked to like Epstein.
Yes. So I still would say there's not a smoking gun linked to Trump and being a child predator. I haven't seen that yet. Okay. Smoking guns are that Trump and Epstein clearly hung out with young women. But when I say young women, like I'm willing to say 18 and above. Like if there was some smoking gun evidence that Trump was with a child that was below 18 years old, we'd be seeing it for sure. So we haven't seen that yet.
Did you say Trump is a predator?
I would say he's creepy. He's a creepy old guy. Like here's the thing.
I mean,
when you got
he was convicted of grape.
yeah, and it wasn't officially that. It was like sexual misconduct or something along it was something. It wasn't that word. It was something else.
Right,
Sexual assault. It was sexual assault or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was also, didn't his wife put in her book that Trump raped her?
Yeah, she did, and it's in her book, and she later has tried to deny it. That's the one that died and is now buried at like Mar-a-Lago or Bedminster. She's buried on one of his properties somewhere.
And she mysteriously fell down the stairs?
Yeah, I don't know how much I put into like the mysteriously thing, but
okay.
Anyhow, yeah, she's buried on Trump's property, which is odd. But yeah, there's a whole chapter in her book about him graping her, and then after people noticed that, 20 years after she wrote the book, she was like, no, that never happened. And it's like, it's in your book. Like, are you saying you lied in your book, or what are we saying here? So anyhow, I have a theory on who Trump's really protecting. And like, it's so weird because we've talked about it a bunch, but like, if you say anything bad about the country of Israel, you're anti-Semitic. So you got to be very careful on anything you say. But most mainstream media is not really covering some of the stuff that's being released in the Epstein files. And it's not just the Epstein files. Somebody got a hold of the prime minister of Israel before Netanyahu was Ehud Barak. And Ehud Barak had a very close relationship with Epstein. Like there's videos and pictures of him going in and out of Epstein's apartment in New York and all kinds of stuff. Anyhow, somebody got a hold of his like inbox, like his emails. So we have all of Ehud Barak's emails, like for like a 10-year period or something. It's ridiculous. And those are open source. Anybody can get to them. And there's only a couple, like I'm going to say news sites, online, you've got a lot of people claiming to be news that aren't really news. They're bloggers online. But drop site news, I've told you before, I put a lot of stock in. Ryan Grimm, he does really good work. They've been going through the Ehud Barak emails, and like, it's very clear that Jeffrey Epstein had a very close relationship with the country of Israel and was doing a lot to help Israel. Now, he was also in bed with Qatar and Russia. And like, I don't think he was limited to just Israel, but I think there's a lot there when it comes to him and Israel. And
well, it's interesting that Trump is also in cahoots with Israel and Qatar. And
yeah, like I said, either Trump's protecting himself or he's getting paid a lot of money to protect somebody or some country, whatever you might think, which leads me to a real fun video. So in this video, this is the IAC, which the IAC is the Israeli American Council, and they had like a conference, I guess you would call it, and had speakers on stage. I didn't pull the clip, but Miriam Adelson gave like a big speech about how great Pam Bondi is, and then brought Pam Bondi on the stage, and Pam Bondi talked for a while about how like she is putting the full focus of the American Department of Justice on anti-Semitic this and that, and that's why they're suing the colleges and this and that. And like, to me, it's like, hey, that a big part of the MAGA base is not cool with the Israel stuff. Like, what are y'all thinking? But they're doing it all open on camera. At that same conference, I don't know who the interviewer is here, but he's got Miriam Adelson on his right and some other very rich Israeli donor to Trump on his left. And he asks them point blank, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you get the access that you get? And how do you control? I don't want to say control. I want to be very, very careful here. How do you have so much influence over Donald Trump and his administration? Was pretty much the question. Their answers were very interesting. Just check this out. It's a long video, and I apologize in advance, but check this out.
We had many sessions here about how important it is to get involved, to build a relationship with politicians, and to have access. And access and relationship can buy you influence, doesn't mean it's going to buy you. So you both master that. So can you share with us, I want everyone to learn today, how do you build a relationship with the politician? I know there is always money involved because that's part of the system, but the relationship is not always just about money, because to have the access and to have the relationship to create an influence, you need not just the money. So we have 4,000 people here. I want them to hear from the best, you and Miri, about how do you do that?
Well, Miri and Sheldon Yizichro Baruch have been much more generous than me, so why don't you turn around and ask her that?
I'm going to ask her, but you both made a lot of connection and made a big influence.
Now, what I gave is this. This is what they gave is this.
But
But it's the same principle. I understand what you're asking. I want to be cautious it's a system that we did not create. It's a system that's in place. It's a legal system. And we just play within the system. And that's it. I mean, it's just really quite simple. If you support a politician, you, under normal circumstances, should have access to be able to share opinions and try to help them see your point of view. That's what access grants you. And the contribution and the financial support grants you the access. So, I mean, those that give more have more access, and those that give less have less access. It's a simple math, trust me.
Miri, you and Sheldon created a lot of relationship over the years with politicians at the state level, especially at the federal level. I want you to share with everyone, why is it so important and how do you do it? Again, writing checks is part of it, but there is more than writing just checks. So how do you do it?
Can you allow me not to answer?
You choose.
I want to be truthful, and there are so many things that I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want specific, but that's okay.
Oh my gosh. Of course. Of course.
That
I
was-
mean, it's pay to play, which we need to take money out of politics. I've said this 1,000 times. Get money out of politics. No more money, no more lobbyists. Like
every politician will tell you that no, pay to play is wrong. And yes, I take donations, but donations don't grant you access. Like that's not how this works. Like anybody can give me money, but I'm not going to now suddenly, give them access. Hear what they have to say. That's what they all say. We all know that's bullshit. Like, and I think it's bullshit on the left and the right. This isn't like a Republican thing, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So
yeah.
But he right there flat out, like that guy was very honest. And he was like, well, he was so honest and he was factual on some of it. Because he said, we didn't invent this system. We're just playing in it. And that's right. I do buy that. This is how American politics has always gone. But they figured out how to do it really well and they have a lot of money to give. And he said flat out, like, if you're giving someone contributions, then you get access. And if you give them a lot of contributions, you get a lot of access. If you give them a little bit, you get a little. But that's how it works. Miriam knew better. Miriam was like, can I not answer? Like, I don't want to lie, and I'm not going to talk about this. Is basically what she said. So props to her for at least knowing. That other guy.
Don't ever give her props for
okay,
anything.
Yeah. The other guy thought about it, and he was like, I don't want to say this. But then he went ahead and did. And it's what we already know. But, like, that was just. It was good to hear it out loud from those are two of Trump's biggest donors. Miriam is the biggest. I don't know how much that guy gives. I don't even know who that guy was, honestly. But
we've all known that was the way it goes. But for whatever reason in this Trump administration, it's okay to say the bad stuff out loud.
Which there was that clip of Trump a couple weeks ago where he's like, Miriam, anybody that gives me $250 million should get to come up here and say so. It's like, no, that's exactly not how it's supposed to work. But the fact that they're dumb enough like to keep doing this all on camera, knowing, and I don't know what percentage it is of the MAGA base, but there is a percentage of the MAGA base that is very not cool with Trump's relationship with Israel, like very much so. And like they were, I saw this all day yesterday. They were pissed about these clips, like very pissed. So anyhow, I just thought that was interesting.
On Twitter?
Yeah, on Twitter.
You saw it on Twitter?
Yep.
Okay.
So a lot. I follow.
I wonder how much of Twitter translates to the real world. I just don't think like too many people in the real world are paying attention to Twitter.
I think you're 100% right. 100%. I mean, people are like, oh, everybody's going crazy about it. And it's like, what do you mean everybody? Like everybody on Twitter? Because I've been walking around all day in public and nobody's going crazy about it. So you are right on that. But I follow a lot of like right wing accounts that have big followings. Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, like if ever I get in trouble legally, you know how sometimes when people do like there's a shooting or whatever, and they'll be like, "Well, we checked and he follows Ben Shapiro," or something
Oh
like
yeah.
that. Like if ever I get in trouble legally, my Twitter is going to confuse everybody because they're going to be like, "He was apparently a far right Nazi liberal Democrat." He was following everybody. But the people with a megaphone are there, and not all the Trump supporters, but there is a far right group of Trump influencers that are very pissed about this, and they have decent followings. So that's what I'm
Okay.
noticing.
Good. I'm glad some of them actually have a moral compass because for a
Yeah.
while there I was like none of these mega influencers have any moral compass and we're all just screwed because they're
And
just going to keep, you know, Trump.
the thing is though, like it doesn't matter if it's Israel or big oil or big pharma or you name it, whatever group it is that's lobbying politicians, like it's all equally bad. So like we're picking on Israel because of this clip because they were dumb enough to say it out loud. But like let's be clear, like it's equally bad no matter who it is. Like the
Right.
fact that people are doing pay to play and then when Trump won in 2016, he used the phrase pay to play a lot because he was accusing Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation of it. And they were probably doing it. Totally. But like
Sure.
it's funny that he went on and on and on about pay to play and how bad it is, and now he is open for business. Like he is
Well,
accepting donations.
he puts everything on his enemy that he's doing. There's a
Projection.
real good tell like it'll come out. If he's saying that somebody's a child predator or whatever, there's a
Mm.
good chance that he's actually a child predator too.
Yeah, they call that
Are
projectionism
you
or
freezing
something
up on
like
me?
that. Yeah, you were freezing for a second there. Our connection
Okay.
sucks tonight. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so
Sorry guys, like and subscribe. It'll be better next time.
we got to start saying that at the beginning of the pod. Anyhow, so that was my quick Israel rant. So I'm going to turn it over to you now because I know you had a couple different things, but I want to back up on Greenland real quick. The one thing that strikes me, there's like an authoritarian playbook to getting into new conflicts, and like we got to witness Putin do it with Ukraine over the last or I guess the last 15 years. I mean, Crimea started in 2014. So the last 12 years, we've kind of seen this, but like the authoritarian playbook is like you create a hostile situation. Like you are the one that sets in motion this thing that is now tense. Then you use the existence of that hostile situation to basically say, well, look at this. Now we have to go in and do it because this is happening. And it's like, but you're the reason that that's a tense situation to begin with. And that's you. I saw a couple things where you go back through history, and that's how it generally gets done. It's what China's trying to put in place right now with Taiwan. But that's exactly what Trump is doing here with Greenland. Like there was no situation at all going on, and Trump created this, and he said there's no defense there. So now Europe responds and puts defense there, and now he's saying that this is I can't remember the phrasing on his tweet, but this is a terrible situation that something has to be done about. So that's the part that pisses me off is now he's going to try to ratchet up support. And also there were reports from I was a Denmark intelligence official. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was saying they're very worried about like espionage. Like Americans are going to go to Greenland now and try to like rile up support. Don Jr. already did it very openly, but they're talking like covert style, send people in and try to rile up support and then be able to point and they look, the people of Greenland want to be liberated. I very much believe we're going to try to do some shit like that. And
it, they've already tried that once and it hasn't happened. Like,
well, they did it very
people of Greenland
openly.
are very happy with where they're at. They're happy with their free healthcare.
The new poll that
Yeah.
just came out,
Okay.
85% of them, the new poll that just came out said 85% of them don't want to leave Denmark. Like, so
there's a 15% of them want to leave Denmark?
I think so, yeah. Which I believe. In every country, there's a percentage that totally feel the other way. Whatever it is, they feel the opposite way. So, but
Okay.
that playbook, like that's what Trump did, or what Putin did in Ukraine, is he went into the Donbass and I can't remember the other region, but he spent years, like a decade, like riling up support for people that wanted to leave Ukraine. And then he said, look, these people want to leave and he won't let them. So now we got to go liberate them. And I very much feel like that's what we're going to see in Greenland, but I just don't know if 3 years is a short timetable to get it done. Like normally that's something you do over a long period of time. So
Yeah. Wow.
yeah. So anyhow, what do you got for tonight, buddy?
All right. Well, let's go back to Israel first.
Okay. Oh, hey, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I hope he's watching, and I hope he makes it this far. But our guy that has co-hosted a couple times, Jesse,
Yeah.
I want to just give him props for a very excellent Facebook post tonight. There's been some shit posting by people we know, and he responded directly but indirectly to one of those people that we went to high school with, and had a very lengthy but very awesome Facebook post. And I give him a round of applause. So just want to point that
it was
out.
good. Yeah, I actually read it when we were restarting our computers.
Nice. So anyway, I just wanted to say that. All right, back to you.
Back to Israel. Did you know there's ongoing military operations still happening in Gaza?
I saw we're killing. I can't remember how many people it is per day, but it's a lot. Like on average, we're killing like 15 to 20 Palestinians a day with missiles and whatnot. And I say we, sorry, Israel.
They're still doing airstrikes on homes and shelters for displaced people.
Sounds believable. I'm not going to disagree.
Also, one of the judges who's proceeding over Netanyahu's trial just died.
So we've talked before about how when you see something that looks crazy online, you should probably fact check that, right?
Yeah.
Did you do any level of fact checking on that?
I Googled it. He died in a car accident.
Okay, and he wasn't the judge over Netanyahu's current case.
Oh, okay.
He was a judge over a Netanyahu case years ago that is totally done. But he is not the judge over the current case that Netanyahu's going through.
Okay.
So I saw you sent that. So I saw that same thing a couple days ago, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like I got to look into this." And then very quickly learned that this is people online trying to make an issue out of something that is not. So Netanyahu's still bad and corrupt, but that's not true. So just gonna throw that out there.
All right. Well, did you watch the CBS interview of Donald Trump?
So I saw clips of it. I didn't see the whole thing.
Okay. I think it's only like 12 minutes long, the whole thing.
Okay.
It was interesting, and I pulled the video, and you're right. Like CBS we're gonna get marked if we play that.
Yeah, they won't let you play anything.
He went through a bunch of things, and he was like talking about how because the interviewer asked him, he said the American people are worried that you're not taking care of the American people, and you're more worried about foreign affairs. And his answer was, well, we have the strongest economy in history. We're in large. We have no inflation. Our growth numbers are through the roof. Job numbers are tremendous. Highest stock market of all time. Saudi Arabia has given us $2 trillion. Qatar has given us $2 trillion. The UAE has given us $2 trillion. I ended 8 wars, and he goes on.
Yeah. Which none of those countries have given us that money yet. They've promised to give us that money in the future, but they haven't given it to us yet.
Some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the total of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the EAU would be $2 trillion. But he's separating it and saying they're each giving us $2 trillion.
Gotcha. And they haven't.
It's not like they're giving us $2 trillion. Like Qatar is the biggest one, and they're giving us $1.2 trillion in an economic exchange agreement.
Well, and what it is they're going to invest that in America, and he's trying to say it's going to be opening manufacturing plants. It's not going to be, but they're going to invest that in America.
Yeah. 96 billion of it's going to Boeing.
Okay, they're buying planes from Boeing, which they were doing already.
How does that help the American people if it goes to Boeing?
It'll help keep jobs. It might create new jobs, or at least it'll keep the jobs that are already there. So it's not a nothing for sure.
It's not a nothing. Okay, but it's a very small.
Yeah. And also, they were already buying their planes from Boeing. It's not like this was a new thing. They just packaged it to make it look like it's a new thing. They were already doing that.
Yeah. So it's not there, and there's nothing in writing. There's no contract.
Yeah.
That there's going to be $2 trillion coming from the Gulf nations.
We should have learned our lesson the first time. Trump's first term, he kept promising all this money was coming in, and like it never happened. Like he ended up leaving office, and it was like none of those trillions of dollars ever came in. And now he's doing the exact same this time, and everybody's counting it like they've already made the investment. Like, they've invested this much. No, none of them have. They've agreed to do it in the future, and they're probably never going to do it. So
yeah. And do you think we have the strongest economy in U.S. history?
Not in U.S. history. We might have the strongest economy in the world right now, but it's because the whole world economy still isn't doing good since COVID. So we might have the strongest in the world. We don't have the strongest.
Oh, no, China just surpassed us. We're number 3 right now.
Oh, yeah, and China just actually set a record for export. So all this thing where we're trying to box China in with trade, like they just set a record for exports in a year.
China's number one right now. I forget who's number two, but yeah, we're number three now.
I'll bet India's number two.
Probably.
If
Yeah,
you're
that
just
makes
looking
sense.
at, depends on how you're measuring it, but if you're measuring it on GDP and output, like China and India would be one and two.
And I don't know what it was last year, but I'm guessing that we fell from one to three during the Trump administration.
China passed us at some point during COVID, and Biden might have been in office. I'm not sure, but it was some point during COVID is when China
Okay.
passed us. Yeah. But
Okay.
also, it all
We're
comes down.
not enlarging.
It
Go
comes
ahead.
down to how you're measuring that, though, because like what you saw ranking the countries could just be like GDP or trade or something. But like when you factor in like the minimum wage and how much wealth the average citizens have, like I would argue that America is still doing better than China on a lot of different measurements. It just depends on which one you're looking at.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then we're definitely not enlarging every plant in the country.
Well, we're definitely not what? Say that again.
We're definitely not enlarging every auto plant in the country.
No, definitely
That
not.
was a false statement.
Auto
We
manufacturing in
are
America is
building
going
more
down.
plants, but
Yeah, it's going down. Auto manufacturing is
yeah,
hurting.
and they're having to switch over. And they're all having to switch back from going EV to gas. So it's hurting them really, really, really bad right now.
Did
Um,
Did you see real
he
quick
said no inflation.
real quick on auto manufacturing? Did you see what happened between Canada and China like within the last 3 or 4 days?
Uh-uh.
So Canada, what's his name?
No.
Mark Carney, the leader of Canada, went to China and did like economic meetings with China, and they agreed on a new trade deal between the two of them, where China is going to allow them to send in their like farm products, agriculture products, and Canada is going to allow 50,000 Chinese electric vehicles in per year. They had previously had a 100% tariff on it, which basically makes it to where nobody's going to buy them. But now they've no tariff. They're letting 50,000 in a year. The U.S. is pissed about this. Like several of Trump's like cabinet members have been tweeting about it, saying that Canada is trying to destroy U.S. auto manufacturing and this and that. No, we told Canada basically to go fuck themselves. We have been treating them terribly since Trump came in, so they went and sidled up with China, exactly what everybody thought they were going to do. So now, yep, we're going to have BYD and Huawei or whatever electric cars in Canada. They're going to be fucking awesome. They're going to be awesome and cheap. And yeah, Trump's pissed about it. Good job, Canada. I'm actually all for that.
I've heard such good things about the BYD cars. Like I wish we could have them over here.
Dude, there's one called like the
They're
Wang.
cheap.
There's one called the Wang Yang 8, and it's like an SUV, and I've seen videos on it, and it seems like a dope SUV. Like I would drive that in a second. Just to say I drive a Wang Yang, I would drive that.
What do you drive, a Wang Yang?
Yeah. I got the Wang Yang 8, buddy. No.
He said okay, back to fact checking. He said we have no inflation. We're at 2.7. At best, it's steady.
Okay.
He said our growth numbers are going through the roof.
Not
They're
happening.
growing, but I wouldn't say they're going through the roof. And who knows what he means by growth numbers. Job numbers are tremendous. Apparently, we have the weakest annual job growth in 2 decades.
Yeah, since 2003.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Highest stock market, that's true.
Mm.
Yeah, any end-of-day wars. So out of like 10 things that he said, like 2 of them were true and 1 of them was a maybe.
When the guy that was interviewing him with CBS is their new like evening anchor, and Bari Weiss brought him on, and he's like slightly right wing, but like he's supposed to be like they're trying to create a news station for like the moderate Republican watching TV. So he's been under fire for a while. Their ratings, they lost a quarter of their viewership in like the last 2 or 3 weeks. And then tonight, I don't know if you saw tonight, they finally aired the episode on CCOT that they were going to air like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and then Bari Weiss pulled it. Remember that? And then it ended up it ended up leaking out online somehow. They finally did air that tonight in its entirety. So I think they're realizing that they're losing viewers, and they're trying to now course correct and stop being so right wing and censoring.
Okay. Yeah. Who knows? Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, I'll move on to the environment here.
Okay. Yeah, I saw this. EPA to stop considering lives saved when setting rules on air pollution. In a reversal, the agency plans to calculate only the cost to industry when setting pollution limits and not the monetary value of saving human lives, documents show. They shouldn't even be the monetary value of saving human lives. It should be just the fact that it's causing human death or sickness that should be what we're looking at here. But it's all about money.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have one more. We've talked about this before, and I just keep seeing this over and over, so I wanted to bring it up again. So new PFAS on U.S. crops. This is just disheartening, man. Like they're just gonna poison us, and we're gonna allow them so that the crop so that the farmers can save a few bucks,
The
and
one
Monsanto can make more money.
the one thing that MAHA should have given Biden credit for is the Biden EPA went through and got rid of a lot of the PFAS, the forever chemicals. Like they were really on top of
Yep.
that. And as soon as Trump got in, his EPA has been reversing all the things that Biden did and allowing all these chemicals to start being used on our crops and chemicals to be put into the water system and all this stuff. And it's like, okay, that to me, there's a lot of things that MAHA is all about, but to me, like what we're putting in our body and the carcinogens and the things causing us cancer, like that should be one of the main things, I would think. And if you're just looking at that, the Trump administration has
Yeah.
been terrible for that. But hey, they're encouraging we drink whole milk
Well,
now.
RFK
So
RFK was running on that, the
yeah,
PFAS, getting rid of PFAS, and now he's just gonna allow Trump to allow them into all of our crops.
yeah. It doesn't make sense to me.
And this goes back to
I was gonna say I get why.
I had to look at
Hold on, real quick, I
go
get
ahead.
why the EPA is doing this because it's all about money. It's all about donors, and they're getting all kinds of political donations by these companies to allow the pesticides back in. Like that's the problem here. What doesn't make sense to me is that MAHA
Yeah.
is not saying anything about it. Like they're not raising a stink at all. Like if they got loud, I think they could get the attention of RFK and therefore Trump and possibly do something here. But like the voters, the MAHA voters are just not even talking about it. Maybe they're not seeing it. I don't know, but it's really weird that they're being so silent about it.
They were so loud during the election.
Yeah, they've gone quiet.
It's kind of crazy. I had to look it up. I was like, does the president actually have to keep American action to protect public health is primarily rooted in the Constitution, federal status, and executive orders. So he's actually supposed to keep us safe from the pesticides and the air pollution and all this stuff, but he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
I feel like this could be an impeachable offense.
So first of all, unless Trump gets a lot worse, like they're not actually going to follow through on him. Like the Senate's not going to vote to convict and remove him from office at any point that I see. That what sucks is they're gonna impeach him on like several different things, and I'm torn because part of me thinks it's a waste of time, but also part of me thinks the more you keep Trump locked up in dealing with impeachments and having to defend himself, the less he can do. So maybe it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a waste of time, but maybe I don't know.
Do you think if he tries to invade Greenland, he will get impeached in the Senate?
I don't think he'll get impeached, but like right now, the House and Senate Republicans, like nobody's on board with taking Greenland by force. A lot of them are saying, well, hear him out. He's the art of the deal. He's just trying to acquire it, and acquiring it's not a bad idea. So they're kind of playing footsie with it, but none of them are in favor of the way he's handling this. As we get closer to the midterms, more and more of them are going to start speaking out. And also, he's starting to stab him in the back. I mentioned it earlier, but Bill Cassidy is senator from Louisiana, and he's the head of the health committee in the Senate. They're in charge of oversight over HHS and Robert Kennedy. He was the deciding vote that led to RFK being the secretary of HHS or whatever. So he's a doctor. He's a doctor his whole life. He's been tweeting about how vaccines save lives and this and that. A lot of people are saying he went against his oath as a doctor in allowing RFK in a position like he is, but he did it because he's up for re-election in 2026 and he needs Trump support. So he basically traded violating everything he knows about vaccines for being able to get reelected with Trump support. And Trump just yesterday tweeted out a long endorsement of some congressman in Louisiana that's going to primary him. So he stabbed that guy in the back. And I think a lot of Republicans are going to realize that it doesn't matter what you do, Trump can eventually stab you in the back. And I think over the course of this year, as numbers start to look worse for Republicans, they're going to start growing a spine, and it's not going to lead to impeachment, but they're going to start standing up to him, is what I think is going to happen in the next 10 months.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. This is crazy. The only thing I have left is we have a really funny video, and I was going to put it in with the milk, but we kind of moved on to another topic.
Vitamin D, you look at calcium, phosphorus, the things that are absolutely essential for bone development and for teeth. But as a neurosurgeon, the thing I really like is with the brain, what it does for the brain. Right. You know, the brain starts to develop right after consumption. And
so the brain starts to develop right after consumption of milk? Again, let's back up. Did I miss something? At some point, did the Biden administration try to tell people to stop drinking milk, or did they make milk less available? Like, what am I missing here?
No, apparently you weren't able to get whole milk in schools. I haven't looked it up, I haven't fact checked it, but that seems like BS.
Okay. If that's the case, then okay, I kind of get what they're doing. If the schools were not, and was that a like U.S. government thing, or were schools just doing it because kids didn't prefer it? I don't really know. Like,
I don't know either. But did you see how when he said it's good for neurological, and Trump like looked up, oh, he's like, wait a second, what? I need to drink more milk.
And also, I'm sorry, just on Trump real quick. He keeps talking about, he's like, I've taken 3 cognitive exams in the past. Like, they only give you cognitive exams when they're worried that you, like, the fact that they've given him 3 this year is not a good sign. Like, you normally wouldn't do that if you think everybody's firing on all cylinders. So anyhow, just throwing that out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, brother.
All right.
Well, sorry about the bad internet connection, everybody.
Yep. And we'll be talking to you soon. Later.
All right, later.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.